Hi, I'm Christina Applegate.
And I'm Jamie-Lynn Sigler.
And this is
Messy. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Messy. This is Jamie. Christina's still just taking some time for herself. And while I'm here with you today, we are going to read some emails, going to connect with you guys, see how everybody's feeling. Hopefully I can, answer any questions, give some unsolicited or solicited advice. I'm not a professional, just somebody who's been through similar shit. The details are different, but I find a lot of the time the experience is the same. We can really relate to feeling isolated, feeling scared, feeling hopeless. I've had a rainbow of those emotions just in this past week. I just got back from a very fun baseball trip with my family to Cooperstown, where my 12-year-old son, Bo, played baseball with his team. They finished 8th out of 105 teams, so super proud of them and super proud of Cutter, who was their coach. But it was a fucking bitch to navigate. It was a lot of walking. It was really hot. I was very well taken care of by all the people around me. But I had a lot of those moments of, God, my life would be so easier if I didn't have this. But then I remember actually one particular moment where I got to the dugout. I was sweating. Mom took a chair out for me. Jack went to get water for me. And I feel a tap on my shoulder. And there is this woman with tears in her eyes telling me that she has MS. She listens to Messy. She's right in this with me. The week has been so hard for her too. And she just saw me across the way and needed to just give me a hug and thank me. And I was like, thank me? Thank you. Thank you so much for showing me that I'm not alone in this. She gave me the strength to get through the rest of the week, that woman. So thank you, whoever you are, because you picked me up in a moment I desperately didn't even know I needed. And whatever you think I give you, or whatever you feel I give you, you gave me just as much. So I don't know, maybe the message from that is if you ever see anyone struggling in any way, help them. Reach out, comment in a kind and respectful way. You never know what they might be needing to hear. You never know what you might be needing to hear in that moment. I've always said that I think sometimes our struggles are also gateways to have really deep human connections with others because, we all are going through things. So I say this to you all to say that my life is not perfect. I'm in need of just as much guidance and inspiration and hope as anyone else. But sometimes you find it in the most unexpected moments and places. So thanks to my friend from Cooperstown. And apologies because I'm still in New York. So if it sounds noisy, I'm in this little apartment we're renting with my family and it's noisy outside. Go Knicks. We were up all night listening to the streets afire with fans. It was really cool moment to kind of be here for. I think it's really cool when sports, you really understand how sports can really just bring people together. Like for people to just all have something to root for. Like you could feel the energy in the city just really come alive in a really unique and special way. So go Knicks. Okay. This first email is from Paula. Hi, Jamie, Christina, and team. I love your podcast. I listen to it every day on my walks, and I'm missing a lot Christina. I hope she's doing well. I'm not diagnosed with MS. However, it has been more than a year that I have had a lot of symptoms, and my GP and neurologist said that they don't know what I have, that we need to wait, and this is very overwhelming and frustrating. Being in pain all day long and trying to explain how do you feel when nobody notices is very hard. So I don't know how to navigate this process. How can I continue to stand up for myself if it seems like everything in my body is fine, per the tests? They found something in my brain that is not conclusive. How do people deal with the fact that they don't have answers, but seems like all the doors are closed? How do you cope with all that? Also, how does PMS affect symptoms in MS and chronic pain? Thank you guys for reading. Sending love from Canada. First of all, the PMS and MS is a very real thing. My symptoms are always a little bit worse right before my period. I still need the reminder every month from my husband. You know, he's getting a tude, so he knows it's coming. But also when I'm like, my bladder, my walking, and he's like, Jamie, you're about to get your period. So it is a very real thing. Hormones affect MS. It's why I've really been like knee deep in this HRT journey for myself and like trying to figure out what the right cocktail is of testosterone and estradiol and all this stuff. Because when I take progesterone, I feel too tired. But, you know, just trying to manage perimenopause and MS. I feel like I'm losing all my hair, all of the things that everybody's talking about. We feel, but of course with MS, everything just kind of gets a little louder when anything's going on in our body. So yes, PMS does affect MS in the ways that MS affects you, I guess, you know, in your own individual way. But how do you stand up for yourself when you feel like you're not getting the answers, when you feel like you're being disregarded or you feel like you're being, ignored by medical professionals? It's an exhausting fight. Actually, our friend Amy Kurtz wrote a book recently called But You Look Fine. And she talks about sort of being medically gaslit within that book and how to sort of advocate for yourself as a patient. So I highly recommend you pick it up. But I think it's just a tireless fight, but you deserve an answer. Don't give up on yourself. I think sometimes it takes a minute to find the right doctor, because if you are in chronic pain, if you are there, you will have that inner knowing that something is wrong, that something's going on. You deserve those answers and you deserve to feel validated and seen. And sometimes that takes some trial and error to find the right partner. I look at my neurologist as a true partner in crime with me in this journey. He is a very important relationship, and it took me a minute to find the one, you know, much like any other relationship in your life. So write down the characteristics you want in a caretaker. Write down if you like tough love, if you like someone that's more gentle, you know, you figure out what type of practitioner you think you will feel best supported in. And maybe that actually will become the person you get the answers with. But do not ignore your body. Our bodies talk to us. They give us signs. Something is off. Something is wrong. Keep paying attention. It's not just in your head. I'm so sorry you're going through this. We're praying for you, Paula. Okay, this next message is from Kate. How do you cope with the mom guilt that comes with seeing your disease affect your kids? Most of the time I can hide it from the kids, but sometimes they see some scary shit. P.S. Love the podcast. Kate, I've talked about this before. Mom guilt is the worst. So being in New York City is an entirely different game for me right now. I am having to navigate the world in a very different way. I'm having to walk more because I don't want to spend so much money on like Ubers to go 3 or cabs to go 3 blocks. I'm having to move so much more. I'm having to be outside more and in crowds more. And that's exciting. I grew up in New York. I love New York, but it's very difficult. And yesterday was like trying to do some stuff with my kids. It was a weekend and I didn't want them holed up in the apartment. And we kept having to stop and we kept having to redirect because it was really hot and kept having to change our plans. And I looked at both of them in the cab yesterday at one point because I fell on the street, which is always embarrassing and humbling. And it sucks because I wanted to walk to brunch. I was like, no, we're not going to take this. I can make these 10 blocks. And at block 9, my legs were like, think again. And I apologized to them. I was like, I'm so sorry, guys. I would do so much more with you if I could. I'm sorry if it scared you when I fell. And they both were just so sweet and loving about it. And it actually got me thinking, you know, like we can get in our head so much about like how we affect our kids' lives, and like if we're not doing enough or being enough or giving them enough, all of the things we are so hard on ourselves as parents. And I actually think that's a good barometer showing how much you care. That means you're actually an amazing parent. But some kids experience life in like a really big and grand way, and that's how they learn their lessons and they learn to navigate the world. It's not to say that that will always be the case, but that's kind of what they were born into. And I feel like with my kids, it's a much slower pace. It's more introspective. It's more quiet moments. It's more, I don't know, it's just different. And that's how they're experiencing the world as children. And that's how they're going to learn their lessons. And again, this is not to say that their life will always be this way. Their lives as they grow and get older and more independent might be huge, and they will be adventurers and all this type of stuff. But I can't get stuck in my head thinking that they're not having the life they're meant to have because of my limitations. I just have to trust that my kids are experiencing life in a unique way, and they will have their choices as they grow. I think that really helps me with my mom guilt. I don't think my mom guilt's going to go away because of how much I love and care for them. But I would advise you to just talk about it. Your kids actually feel so much more empowered and confident with information. Sometimes I think if we think we withhold information, we're protecting them. But I think if you give kids information, if you tell them what's going on, obviously in a way that which they can absorb, they feel safer. They feel more confident. They feel like there's a space for them to be able to express themselves as well. And so I'm in this with you with this mom guilt, but I hope these little things maybe helped you, Kate, or anyone else out there that might be needing it. Support for Messy comes from Lola Blankets. Everyone I know is talking about the Lola blankets, how many they have, how they are on every kid's bed and every couch. If you have not tried it, what are you waiting for? Not only is it the most luxurious, lovely, ultra soft, luxury faux fur signature 4-way stretch blanket, #1 in the world, it's a perfect gift. You know why? Because it's chic. It's soft, it's machine washable, it's double hemmed, it's built to last for years. It is a truly meaningful long-term gift. There's no shedding, there's no piling, there's no delicate care worries, okay? It is my go-to. Wrapping myself up in a Lola blanket is like nothing else. They have all these cute collaborations with different designers, colors that you can never imagine picking from. And for a limited time, our listeners can get 40% off select Lola blanket products with code MESSY at checkout. Just head to lolablankets.com and use code MESSY. After your purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know we sent you. Wrap yourself in luxury with Lola Blankets. Support for Messy comes from Q Collar. You know, what do 50,000 athletes have in common? They all use the Q Collar to help protect them from brain injuries. That's what. Now that my kids are playing sports, I have looked into brain health and making sure that all those hits in football or headers in soccer don't result in long-term damage. And that's how I found the Q Collar. The Q Collar is a revolutionary product that is the only FDA-cleared device in its category to help protect the brain from the effects of impacts during sports. There's truly nothing else like it on the market. So, okay, you're thinking, what is this? Isn't that why you wear a helmet? Well, listen, helmets protect the head, but what the Q Collar does is it helps protect the brain. It applies basically light pressure to the neck, so it slightly increases the blood volume in the skull, and what that does is help reduce brain movement during impacts. The Q Collar is backed by 25 plus peer-reviewed independent research studies, so it's science you can trust. You can use it in 20 plus sports, from football to lacrosse to skiing. If there's contact involved, the Q Collar can probably be beneficial for you. From NFL players like running back Tony Pollard to all-pro cornerback Sauce Gardner to even the PLL, which is the Premier Lacrosse League, adopting Q-Collar as their brain injury protection partner has helped the top athletes across the world. So when you are getting your family ready for their next season, just think helmet, mouthguard, and Q-Collar. Head to q30.com/messy and use code MESSY for a free sleeve with your order. Once again, that's q30.com/messy for a free sleeve available in 15 colors with your order. Okay, this is from Lisa. Hi, ladies. Quick note. I just wanted to say that I do have PPMS and I am 6 weeks in recovery of a pelvic fracture. Ugh. Last night was my first time I went out for a night to watch the Golden Knights game with my husband, and I had to use a cane. I had to go to the bathroom, and I got so much anxiety surveying the room and the path, but I had to go, or else. Anyway, my point is I did it and immediately noticed people give you room. Some are douchebags and do not move over. And one lady said, "Can you hit my husband with that cane?" Anyway, my point is I did it and I survived, and I'm becoming open to using one. Thank you, ladies, for all you do. The first time is hard, but I literally thought of your podcast and all you have said to us. Getting on and off the high top stool you should address. That was really not pretty. Oh no, I'm assuming that's how you got your pelvic fracture. I love you both. I'm so grateful to you. Or did you mean that's how you were sitting at the bar? Well, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm telling my friends to listen to the friendship episode. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, the cane. Hey girl, listen, I've been using a cane now for a few years and I still hate the stairs. Stairs meaning stares from other people. I still hate that I have to use it. People are so kind. I think I don't know if they're making me feel better about the fact that I use it, but I'm always getting that cane's so cool. That cane's so chic. I love your cane. And I appreciate humans so much for that. It's almost I don't know if they're picking up on my insecurity, picking up on my devastation, but they're trying to make me feel better about how I look, the way I'm navigating the world. People just stare. I've kind of just tried to get over that. But surveying a room, seeing how you're going to navigate it, how you're going to go through is just one of the shitty parts that comes along with living with, a disability of any form. And I've just had to come to accept that I am not graceful anymore. I'm kind of clumsy. I don't know. I've kind of just made it more part of my personality now, I guess. But the pivots and adjustments any of us have to make for whatever reasons are always difficult, but they do, even with all I just said, they do become easier, right? It's not like I don't even hesitate to pick up my cane when I leave, knowing because it's going to help me navigate the world better. But the feelings still arise about it. Some days not as much, some days more. But I was talking about this with my girlfriend actually last night, where she was like, because I haven't seen her in a while. And she's like, where are you with everything? How are you doing? I was like, I think more than anything, what I've noticed I've been able to do over the past couple of months is give myself really time to feel the shitty things in a real genuine way. To sit and be like, this sucks. Or to sit and be like, I didn't like that. I don't really stuff any feelings down anymore. I think possibly because I've excavated so much, in writing my book, so much pain and shame, decades of it, out now that there's not a deep well. It's just sort of this open tunnel that if I'm feeling something, sure, I can table it for later that afternoon or that evening, but I process and I feel and I go through and I allow. And that is very important to do, especially when you physically get hurt. I cannot imagine what a pelvic fracture feels like and what that recovery is like. So Lisa, please be patient with yourself and kind to yourself as you're having to navigate a really serious injury and recovery. That's very intense and very scary, and also a really scary reality of living with this. I talked briefly about, thankfully, knock on wood, the only time that I really got hurt from falling is when I slipped and fell in the shower and needed 6 stitches in my lip. And I remember it feeling so scary, not even just because of what happened, because obviously that's scary, but more of like, oh God, like, is this where I'm at in my disease now? And that was, I don't know, a little less than a year ago. And what I can tell you, Lisa, if you're afraid, is like that fear has subsided. I still feel more in control, even though I can slip and fall. I know how to protect myself in ways to keep it a bit safer. Like falling with a cane for me was easier, right? Because I had something to brace a little bit. So protecting yourself, going slower, even though we want to keep up with the pace of the world, sometimes we got to do it slower. And who knows what we can notice at that slower pace. We might see things that other people, miss because they're rushing through life. So maybe there's a silver lining to it. I don't know. But I hope that you continue to recover well and get a chic cane from Neo Walk Sticks. They're really cool. All right, this message is anonymous. Hey ladies, I love listening. I started listening as a Christina fan, but since October, I've been diagnosed with breast cancer and sarcoidosis, which is affecting my lungs, lymph nodes, brain, heart, and causes extreme joint pain and fatigue, alongside the usual exhaustion from hospital appointments, poking, prodding, the guessing game of what treatments will work. It's not what I expected from 36, but my partner is supportive, which is lucky, even though she is 10 years younger than me. Sometimes she doesn't understand the fatigue on a good day. I'm working full-time as a telecoms manager and doing everything I can to keep my life normal. But does it drive you ladies crazy when people do that? There's research. You'll be fine. Oh, I know someone that had that. They were fine dismissal. It makes me want to scream at them. Sure, sweetie, how about we switch for the day and you live in my body that sometimes can't walk up a set of stairs without being in so much pain that you faint. I'm angry. I'm allowing myself to be angry. After 10 years of an abusive relationship, I was really looking forward to living my life, and instead, this is what I got. I know that life always throws us things, but it's okay to feel like we've been dealt a dud hand, right? Every day I will fight. Some days that might be from my bed with Grey's Anatomy or Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Girls, you are my inspiration to keep going, to laugh and allow myself grace when I want to cry. Love you, girls. Yes. Yes, it is okay to feel like you've been dealt a dud hand. Yes, this is part of an integral part of your acceptance and your healing. And I'm so sorry for all that you are going through. The only thing I can comment on is like when you're talking about the other people that will be like, oh, you'll be fine, or oh, that's research. When people do that to me, I try to, I can have the natural feelings of like, fuck you, sure. But I try to remind myself that they are coming from a good place. The intention is they want to make you feel better. And they also might be wanting to make themselves feel better. Sometimes people can't handle hearing the struggle that somebody's going through. And that sucks for all the parties involved. And that's something that sometimes we have to accept. I have had to figure out certain people in my life that can handle certain news and others that I just don't go to for that type of stuff. And when you are experiencing currently the things that you are experiencing, you might have to start editing a little bit. And you don't need a giant circle of people to turn to. You know what I mean? You don't need the validation also of your experience and your pain. It is very real. And you don't need somebody to tell you that it is. And you don't need to tell somebody to diminish it or say that it's not. And if you find yourself in that situation, there is a very graceful and respectful way to say, I understand you're trying to make me feel better, But if you lived with what I live with every day, you might understand how devastating this is, how much your brain can't even go to that place because you're dealing with each moment at hand that is filled with pain and frustration and grief and sadness. Process this, whether this is on a journal or with a therapist. I found that the more I found my honest, true feelings, authentic feelings about what I was experiencing, I was able then to express myself, defend myself, advocate for myself even better, because you're just so in touch with your experience and you're not bypassing anything. You're not being, you're not trying to get to the other side of being positive and no, you're acknowledging the hard shit. And that's really important. It seems like you're doing it. Keep giving yourself grace. Keep laughing. I hope you watch Summer House too and In the City, because that's giving me a lot of joy right now. I can tell you that. I've also decided I'm going to commit to Love Island this year too. So that can take up some good time. Is that on like every night? Anyway, wishing you a lot of healing, a lot of love, and find your tribe that you can share with. Not everybody can handle it. All right, this message is from Glenn. Oh, I like this. Glenn? Glyne. I've never seen that before. Okay, hi, Christina and Jamie. My name is Glenn. I'm a 53-year-old guy from New Jersey. Jamie, oh yes, I actually met you at your book signing in Ridgewood. I was the British guy with the cane who asked you about living in Texas with heat intolerance. I remember you well. Thank you for the podcast. I was diagnosed with MS in 2015, and a specialist told me after reviewing my initial MRIs, I'd had it around 10 years prior to that. I was largely asymptomatic with some mild neuropathy in my toes and fingertips, which I ignored as it didn't stop me doing anything. I write as I may have the craziest diagnosis story. I used to be a big road cyclist, but all that stopped on June 22nd, 2015, the day before my birthday, when I had a big cycling accident involving a bear. One ran across the road and I swerved its cub whilst doing 30 miles an hour and crashed into my friend. We both flew off. I landed on my head and he landed on me. I was unconscious for about 20 minutes, and the next thing I vaguely remember is waking up in Morristown Trauma Unit with my wife by my side. After all the CT scans, MRIs I had after the accident, a neurologist determined that what they thought were bruises on my spinal column from the accident were actually lesions from MS. A full brain and spinal MRI confirmed that. 11 years later and fully juiced up on Ocrevus, I'm doing okay. I still work out every day, but my cycling days are over, save for the Peloton. No bears in my basement. I think I need to thank that bear, as it at least gave me the opportunity to get diagnosed and on medication. MS still sucks, though. Take care, both of you, and thank you again, Glenn. Woof! That is an intense diagnosis story. I am so sorry. First of all, thank God you survived and had no serious injury from what it's sounding like. But wild that is what got you diagnosed. I remember you well. Everyone that I met, I will say, on the book tour that came up to me that had MS, you guys are like, I would look at all of you and be like, what fucking cool, strong, wonderful people. You all presented yourself with like pride and authenticity and honesty and open-heartedness, being willing to share yourselves with a stranger. Me, I guess it's kind of what we do on here too, was really special. So first of all, thank you for that and for writing in. And that is a wild diagnosis story. I am glad that you find gratitude in that, that you still work out, that you found a way to cycle and have your love for that, and take care as well. Wishing you, I don't know, I'm picturing you wishing you like riding a bike on an open road with no wild animals, enjoying yourself one day in the sunshine. Not too hot though, like a cool 65 or 70 so you don't overheat. Support for Messy comes from K18. My hair I don't know if it's the hormones. I don't know if it's like, I don't know, my age, what's going on, but it is changing lately. It feels dry. It feels thin. It feels weird. I've got like itchy scalp, but it's like oily. I am not down with my hair changes. Thank God I have found K18, okay, which is the science of fresh hair. I have been using my K18 hair mask, which has really helped with like sort of the texture and softness of my hair. But what has gotten me through those days where I don't want to wash it all the time is their dry shampoo. And I would describe this dry shampoo as basically the science of fresh hair because it instantly eliminates odor and reduces oil and sweat, even in this summer heat. It keeps my hair and my scalp fresh for up to 3 days. It is the first biotech powered dry shampoo, by the way. There's no white cast at all. None, guys. No starchy buildup, no heavy fragrances, just 3 days of just washed fresh hair instantly. It is patented with their odor bind technology, which basically recognizes, traps, and eliminates odor. It sponges up the oil without starchy buildup, and it helps balance your scalp and control excess oil product over time. So shop at Sephora or get 10% off your first purchase at K18hair.com with code MESSY. That's code MESSY at K18hair.com. Support for Messy comes from Veracity. You know, stress doesn't always shout. Sometimes it creeps in as sleepless nights or cravings or just low-grade anxiety. Cortisol calming from Veracity helps me tackle that quiet chaos before it turns loud. So Veracity is an all-natural way to reduce stress. With Veracity's drug-free, clinically proven, and doctor-formulated solutions, you can support your body's need to live your healthiest life. With cortisol calming, you build resistance and resilience to fight or flight stress from spikes in the stress hormone, which is cortisol. So cortisol calming alleviates the effects of these cortisol spikes, which is, anxiety, brain fog, craving, visceral fat, slow metabolism, all of those things. The Veracity founder and CEO, Ali Egan, is a certified hormone health coach, and her personal experience with metabolic issues inspired her to develop holistic solutions to achieve optimal health. So what's in Veracity's cortisol calming? Well, it's packed with natural stress fighters like ashwagandha, rhodiola, and L-euthero to help support your body stay resilient, plus bacopa for sharper thinking, L-theanine for calm concentration, amongst many other things. It's basically everything your mind and body need to stay steady under pressure. And with a product like Veracity, the common question is, what are the side effects? Since cortisol calming is made from 100% natural ingredients, guess what? There's no negative side effects from the ingredients in cortisol calming. So calm your stress the natural way. Head to veracityhealth.co and use code MESSY for up to 65% off your order. Once again, that's VERACITY health.co for up to 65% off. And make sure you use my promo code MESSY so they know we sent you. Okay, this one is from Samantha. Dear Christina and Jamie, I have been listening to your podcast for a while now, and I think I need some advice because my life feels really messy at the moment. I recently made the difficult decision to quit my job as a finance manager. Last July, I was diagnosed with MS after years of symptoms that were dismissed or attributed to other things. During a major relapse, I temporarily lost my ability to walk normally, use my left arm, speak clearly, and perform many basic daily tasks. I spent months in physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and trying different medications just to regain enough function and to return to work. When I finally returned to work, I was proud of myself. I had fought incredibly hard to regain my independence and return to a job I genuinely cared about. I expected that there would be an adjustment period while I relearned aspects of my job and adapted to my new limitations, but instead, I was met with something I never anticipated. Many of my coworkers, people I genuinely considered friends, became openly hostile toward me. It became painfully clear that some of them did not believe I actually had MS or thought I was exaggerating my symptoms. Rather than receiving patience or understanding, I felt judged, scrutinized, and resented for needing accommodations after experiencing what was essentially a brain injury. What hurts the most is that if our positions had been reversed, I know I would never have treated them this way. If someone I cared about had gone through a major health crisis and was doing everything they could to rebuild their life, I would have offered compassion and support. Instead, I felt abandoned by people I thought cared about me. It made me question whether those friendships were ever real at all. The stress of trying to prove that I was sick enough, capable enough, and deserving enough of empathy became unbearable. After months of trying to push through, I ultimately decided to resign because my health was suffering both physically and emotionally. I know leaving was the right decision for me, but I'm struggling with the grief and guilt that come with it. I fought so hard to get my life back after my diagnosis, only to realize that the version of my life I was trying to return to may no longer fit who I am now. I'm scared about what comes next. I'm worried about health insurance, finances, and finding a career path that better accommodates my health needs. I also feel deeply hurt by how people I trusted treated me during one of the hardest periods of my life. My questions are, how do you cope with the betrayal of realizing that people you considered friends lack compassion when you needed it most? How do you stop internalizing the disbelief of others when you know what you've experienced is real? How do you know when walking away is choosing yourself instead of giving up? And how do you grieve the life you thought you were going to have while still being hopeful about building a new one? Thank you for creating a space where people can be honest about the messy parts of life. I would really appreciate any advice you have. Sincerely, Samantha. I am in such shock for you, Samantha, that this is what you experienced. First and foremost, because if people only knew how hard it is to ask for accommodations, to ask for help, when you are a person that by nature is independent and a fighter, like all of the I know attributes and characteristics that you possess that they knew as their coworker and friend don't all of a sudden go away in the face of disease and struggle and like a life-changing diagnosis. You would still, I would be shocked that they wouldn't still see that fighter and being like, wow, I cannot believe how hard this must be for her. But how amazing that she's showing back up at work and she is trying and she just needs to make these pivots. I'm at a loss for words that is even something that you have experienced. So I cannot speak to how to cope with that because I am lucky enough that I never have, and I'm so sorry that you have. But what I can speak to is that you walking away was 1,000% choosing yourself and was not 1 ounce of giving up. Think about the earlier part of your email and talking about how hard you have fought to regain these abilities from what this disease took from you in that flare. You have not given up. You continue to not giving up. And I pray and I know that the universe will meet you with those efforts in a beautiful way. But I'm so sorry. You are allowed to grieve the life that you thought every day. Don't let it be all day, but you are allowed to have space to grieve the life you thought you were going to live. But there is absolutely hope. I say it all the time. Your story is not over yet, Samantha. It is not over yet. You have more life ahead of you. I wish I could tell you what it was and what it will be, but reading this email and hearing these things about you, I have no doubt that there are great things that you deserve that will come to you. And again, I am so incredibly disgusted and sorry that this is the way that your community, your work community, your coworkers showed up for you. It is unfair. It is unkind. Is there any way, would you feel, I don't know, safe enough, or if it would do anything to like write a letter to one or two or a few of them and just being like, this is what led me to this decision? You can say, you can begin it with like, I've had such pride and respect for all of you and the work we do and my job. But this was what I was going through. And instead of being met with compassion and support, I felt dismissed, and I felt like you didn't believe me in what I was going through. And that has caused me great pain. I think sometimes people really need to know how their actions have affected. I think people need to know when they get it wrong sometimes. You're not saying that they're bad people, but you're saying, hey, in this moment, you got this really wrong. And I'm going to teach you what you got wrong. So maybe hopefully next time down the line, if you are in a situation like this, or if God forbid you're the person on the other side of this, you will know. People need to be taught lessons, and they can be taught it gently and kindly and with respect. But maybe you're the person to teach these people this lesson. And again, I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry that you have been going through that and had to deal with that, Samantha. And I wish you nothing but the best. Okay. This one is from Jacqueline. Hello, Jamie and Christina. I've been a fan of both of you for many years, and I've been a huge supporter of your podcast since day one. Thank you. It's my Tuesday dose of happiness, and I relate so much to what you share. I love hearing about your experiences and truly appreciate how open, honest, and real you both are. I have a couple of questions I'd love to hear your thoughts on. Have either of you looked into the emerging research on GLP-1 medications and their potential anti-inflammatory or neuroprotective effects? Do you think they could eventually have a role in MS beyond weight management? I know Jamie has explored peptide therapies and would love to know specific ones that may help reduce inflammation and benefit us MSers. Thank you for all that you do for the MS community. Your podcast makes so many of us feel less alone, and I look forward to it every week, Jacqueline. Okay, so I have had a handful of doctors recommend trizepatide in particular for me to like microdose for anti-inflammatory purposes. I've not heard about the neuroprotective part, but the anti-inflammatory part. I am hesitant. I like for there to be more time and research for things. I am afraid to do anything that could cause me any sort of weight loss, especially muscle loss, because I am so, I try so hard to put muscle on. So I have not done the GLP route yet, but I have heard things about it. And I've had people that I really respect, doctors I really respect, recommend it. So TBD, I'll let you know if it's something that I explore. But I have played with peptides. I love BPC 157. I've been using it for a couple of weeks. I cycle it on and off, and I really think it's helped me with my gut. I deal with a lot of bloating and distension and irregularity, and I don't know, I feel the difference with the BPC. I'm also going to be starting tesamorelin, which is like part of the human growth stuff to help with muscle growth. So I will let you know how that journey goes. I've heard a lot of good news about the copper one. And then you can combine these, right? There's like one that's like the glow. There's one that's like Wolverine. But I have we're very sensitive with MS. I am a very sensitive person. So I can't play with too many of them at once. I need to do one at a time to see how I am affected. But I will absolutely take you on this journey with me and keep you abreast of what's happening. Okay, this is from Elena. Hi, my name is Elena. First, I want to say to Jamie that once again, I absolutely loved meeting you in Ridgewood, New Jersey at your book signing. I don't normally read, but I've been reading your book for a month now. I usually read one chapter per day, but sometimes I skip due to overstimulation and other things, and I'm actually enjoying it. I've told so many of my friends, family, and teachers that I met you, and they are so surprised and happy for me. I'm especially happy that you loved the drawing I made of Meadow. Oh, yes, I did. And I'm still happy with how nice you were to me despite my awkwardness since I'm autistic. You were not awkward. In fact, I will never stop talking about it. And now for my question. When you lash out on someone you love due to frustration and you end up absolutely hating yourself for it, what do you do to help you to forgive yourself? A few days ago, I found out that I was diagnosed back in 2018 with disruptive mood regulation disorder. And therefore, I have serious anger issues that cause me to lash out on my loved ones sometimes and say things that I normally would never say. I've struggled with this for years, and sadly, I'm stuck in an environment where my frustration is always being tested. And I'm curious to know what other people do to help themselves recover from that emotional pain. Sending hugs from New Jersey. Oh, okay, Elena. First of all, I remember you very clearly. I loved meeting you. I loved talking to you. I loved my drawing. You were not awkward. You were perfect. I remember you very, very well. Disruptive mood dysregulation disorder or not, it is very normal when you're overwhelmed, when overstimulated, a situation occurs that is triggering, that you lash out on the people that are closest to you. You need a space to take things out where you know they're not going to go anywhere. We're not going to do it to strangers or even acquaintances or even some friends. We're going to do it with the people that are closest to us. That is very natural. I will say normal. It happens to all of us. Put on top of it a disorder that makes it even harder for you is more reason to give yourself some grace, my girl. Like, please. I feel you. I feel the guilt that you feel and the sadness that you feel around it. When you get the quiet moments after a dysregulated moment of your emotions, which again, we all have for a myriad of different reasons, before you even apologize to the other person, I want to invite you to put your hand over your heart. And there's something called the Ho'oponopono prayer. I love it. This is not woo-woo. It's just like it's a thing that's been around forever. And you say these 4 sentences. I love you. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Thank you. You repeat it a couple of times until you start feeling your body calm down. What this does for me is allows me to acknowledge my humanness and that I made a mistake, acknowledge the other person's humanness, and know that we're all doing the best we can. Once you regulate yourself, forgive yourself, honor that you're human. It's not like you're a sociopath that is like yelled at somebody and walks away with no guilt or feelings. You had a moment and that's okay. And then you can go to the other person and say, I apologize for what I just said. I apologize for how I just acted. It is because of X, Y, Z. Explaining where you're coming from, explaining what happened, acknowledging, though, what happened, allows for forgiveness, grace, growth, connection. Please go easy on yourself. You are up against a lot of things. We all are each and every day, but you have to just acknowledge that you are working with your beautiful set of tools that don't match everybody else's, but there's always ways to repair. Please be patient, give yourself grace, and thank you again so much for my drawing. I love it so much. Okay, I hope that my unprofessional advice landed with some of you in some way. Thank you for listening, and I'm going to leave you with a quote. If today is the day you feel like giving up on yourself, make a smaller promise. Don't promise forever. Don't promise next year. Promise the next hour, the next choice, the next breath. Hope rarely arrives as a lightning bolt. More often, it returns quietly when we decide to stay one moment longer. And so it is.
This show is executive produced by Christina Applegate, Jamie-Lynn Sigler, and Allison Bresnick. Our audio engineer is Josh Windisch.
If you want to show us some love, don't forget to leave the show a rating or review. Hi, it's Jamie. Thanks for listening. I just want to let you know I am a paid spokesperson for Novartis, but this podcast is independent from my collaboration with Novartis.